Todd and Julie Chrisley's podcast is already back, exclusive. Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another video. I hope everyone's having a great day. Before watching the video, please subscribe and like it. Fresh out of the clink, Todd and Julie Chrisley are back in the free world and in the free-to-listen podcast world. Thanks to a pardon by President Trump, the Chrisleys have returned home. And soon, their Chrisley Confessions podcast is returning as Chrisley Confessions 2.0 via a new exclusive multi-year deal with Podcastone, The Hollywood Reporter has learned. Chrisley Confessions 2.0 will premiere Wednesday, July 16. Podcastone knows best, we guess. Chrisley Confessions have been on hiatus for 2 years, for good reason. In 2022, Todd and Julie were convicted on 12 counts of bank fraud and tax evasion. Julie was given a 7-year prison sentence. Todd got 12 years. Trump pardoned them in May 2025 following a campaign spearheaded by their daughter Savannah, who is also a Podcastone personality. Unlocked with Savannah Chrisley. Chrisley Confessions 2.0 will be available in video as well as audio and will deliver the signature candor, humor, and heartfelt moments that made it a top-charting and fan-favorite podcast, per Podcastone. The original Chrisley Confessions podcast launched in 2018 with Todd and Julie, the stars of reality series Chrisley Knows Best. The duo returns to the mic to speak directly to their audience about faith, family, personal growth, and the journey of rebuilding their lives since their headline-making presidential pardon. Unfiltered and on their own terms, the logline reads, and, presumably the whole prison thing. This next chapter is rooted in grace, growth, and truth. Whether you've supported us, criticized us, or simply watched from afar, we're inviting you to listen with an open heart. This is our story, told in our own words. It's honest, unfiltered, and just the beginning, said Todd Chrisley. 1 week before Todd and Julie were pardoned and released from prison, Lifetime greenlit a new unscripted series focused on the Chrisleys. It signaled that something was up. We are excited to welcome Todd and Julie back to Podcastone and support them in sharing their voices once again, Kit Gray, president of Podcastone, said in a statement sent to TR. Chrisley Confessions has always resonated with audiences for its authenticity, vulnerability, and signature Chrisley humor. And we know that listeners and advertisers are anxious for the show relaunch and hearing firsthand from Todd and Julie. In a return that few saw coming yet many anticipated, Todd and Julie Chrisley have reignited the flame that once made their voices a staple in the podcast world. After a storm of legal battles, public scrutiny, and emotional family shifts, the Chrisleys are stepping back into the digital spotlight, not with reality cameras, but with the familiar cadence of a podcast microphone. The news comes at a time when the curiosity around their personal journey has never been higher, and the couple seems ready to speak not in defense, but in reflection. Their podcast, once a vibrant platform for humor, advice, faith, and storytelling, is breathing new life into their public narrative. The reboot feels more like a reckoning than a relaunch, intimate, raw, and steeped in a tone of hardened wisdom. It signals a shift from the glossy optimism of their past media ventures to something more grounded, personal, and purposeful. Sources close to the family describe the decision to return as deliberate, rooted in a shared need to reclaim their voice. After months of silence during their time away from the spotlight, the Chrisleys reportedly spent long nights discussing not just if they should return, but how and what they owe their audience, if anything at all. This time, the podcast is not just a space for updates on family drama or Southern charm anecdotes. It is a vessel for transparency, a place where Todd and Julie plan to speak from a space they have never fully embraced. Vulnerability. The episodes are laced with stories from the past, reflections on mistakes, and unfiltered insight into how their time away has reshaped their outlook on life, faith, and family. Rather than avoiding the elephant in the room, the Chrisleys walk right up to it with candid acknowledgement and a tone that suggests growth rather than justification. The energy between them is noticeably different. No longer is it about performing for laughs or spinning narratives for entertainment. It is about connection, honesty, and rebuilding bridges both with their listeners and within their own family. They are not shying away from the uncomfortable. In fact, they are leaning into it with a courage that speaks volumes about the internal work done during their time apart from public life. While the headlines have not always been kind, they seem to have come to peace with their story, even the parts written few episodes of the revived podcast. The couple revisits key moments that led to their absence, but more importantly, they explore the emotional and spiritual aftermath of those events with a quiet confidence. Todd's voice remains steady but carries the weight of someone who has been forced to reflect. Julie brings a soft strength that acts as an anchor. As they navigate difficult conversations together, the chemistry between them is unchanged yet matured, forged through trials that few could weather with grace. They are also opening the door to topics that go beyond their own story, from the societal lens of fame and accountability to deeper discussions about forgiveness, parenting, mental health, and the power of starting over. In many ways, the podcast feels like a journal, one they are allowing the world to read page by page, with no edits or filters, just truth and tone. Their hope, according to insiders, is to spark conversation, not controversy, to offer healing, not headlines. Fans who have followed the Chrisleys from reality television to courtroom sagas are now being offered a seat at the table where honesty is served without performance. The podcast does not promise resolution. It does not pretend to be a redemption tour. It is simply a reflection of where they are now, what they have learned, and who they are becoming. The return has been met with mixed reactions, but one thing is clear: the Chrisleys are no longer hiding behind carefully crafted images. They are using their voices to rebuild something real. The exclusivity of the launch only adds to the intrigue. The couple chose to release the new episodes quietly, without the fanfare of press tours or promotional campaigns, relying instead on the strength of their connection with longtime listeners. The decision to return in such a stripped-down way speaks to the sincerity of their intent. This is not about ratings or reputation. It is about reclaiming space in a world that has often tried to silence them. The podcast production has also shifted, with a more minimalistic approach, fewer frills, less scripting, and a focus on authentic dialogue. The Chrisleys are letting their experiences guide the conversation, unafraid of where it might lead. Their willingness to expose the less flattering parts of their journey signals a new chapter, one that could very well define the legacy they leave behind in the digital storytelling space. Their children, especially Savannah, have voiced support for the revival, acknowledging that the podcast serves as both therapy and testimony for their parents and possibly for themselves. In the future, the episodes are already sparking online discussions, with fans dissecting each word not out of judgment, but from a desire to understand how the family they once watched weekly has evolved through darkness into something that resembles grace. While the return to podcasting may not erase the past, it offers a platform to speak into the future and perhaps guide others navigating public mistakes or private pain with authenticity and resilience. The Chrisleys are not asking for sympathy or exoneration, only for the opportunity to speak for themselves and maybe help others do the same. The podcast is a mirror, one that shows not perfection but process. And that may be the most powerful message of all. Whether their audience listens with open arms or cautious hearts, Todd and Julie Chrisley are showing up with the same spirit that first made them household names, but with deeper insight, a quieter confidence, and a story that is still unfolding, one episode at a time. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, America Trends 24, and stay with us.